Hi, I'm Katie Farrell with Dashing Dish. Today I'm going to make no-bake cookie dough balls. Now I know what you're thinking, that can't possibly be healthy, but actually this recipe is full of whole grains and protein and all of the things that help our body work good but also feel good. So here we're starting with old-fashioned oats, and a lot of times people think that old-fashioned oats are just for oatmeal, but actually I use them in a lot of my recipes. I even grind them down into an oat flour, and I get tons of testimonies hearing back from people saying, you know what, I had type 2 diabetes and I was on all kinds of medication, and after swapping out white flour and white sugar with stevia and with oat flour, I now don't even have to take medication. My body is working right, my blood sugar is controlled, and so that's a really good way is to start if you're just starting to eat healthy, is to take all white flour, all white sugar out of your diet and replace it with oats or oat flour. So we have old-fashioned oats here, and then we're going to add some stevia. So we have about a cup of stevia, and stevia is a natural sweetener. You can actually grow your own stevia plants. So it's just the leaves that they take and they grind them up, and that's a nice swap out for sugar. And you can find baking stevia right next to the sugar in any grocery store these days. So we have some baking stevia, some oats, and then we have some protein powder. And these are our dry ingredients, and we're going to start by mixing the dry ingredients together in the bowl. And protein powder is great because not only does it kind of help form these balls together, but the protein is a great thing to add for a snack or even a treat throughout your day. So what I like to do is I like to make these protein cookie dough balls, put them in my freezer, pull one out throughout my day if I need a quick boost of protein or a quick snack, and it keeps me satisfied until my next meal time. I tell people all the time, don't let yourself get to the point where you are starving when you get to a meal. Because the problem is, then oftentimes we overeat when we get to a meal because, we don't really know how to gauge our hunger signal. So if you have a quick protein snack, then you kind of feel like you're satisfied, and when you sit down to a meal, you can gauge how hungry you truly are. And then to this, I'm going to add a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and then some chocolate chips, because who doesn't love a little bit of chocolate? And then 2 tablespoons of honey. And this kind of binds it all together. And you can see here that I have no processed ingredients. It's all ingredients that are really good for us, except for maybe the chocolate chips. That's maybe, where we have the moderation. And then a 1/2 cup of peanut butter. And you can use any kind of nut butter that you like. I like natural peanut butter for this recipe. And I actually just melted it a little bit in the microwave for about 20 seconds to help it kind of come together. And then you just want to stir it up. And this is where you kind of got to put the muscle into it. And then the last thing that you want to add is a 1/2 cup of water. And you want to use cold water, because if you use warm water, then it would melt that chocolate. So you want to do cold water, so 1/2 cup. And you'll see it starts to come together like a cookie dough. And you might be thinking to yourself, okay, this is a healthy form of cookie dough. Is this even safe to eat? Because I heard you shouldn't eat cookie dough. But actually, you shouldn't eat cookie dough if it has raw eggs in it. So we just swapped out the eggs in this recipe for some peanut butter and for some honey, and that helps bind it together without adding that raw egg. So once it starts to come together, you can start to form it into balls. And like I said, this kind of gets your muscle working a little bit. And so actually, to help me today form this into balls, I am going to invite my husband on set, because he is my cookie maker. Hi, sweetie.
How are you?
So when we're at home, his favorite thing to do is to experiment and make cookie recipes. So whenever I'm making cookies, I always call him into the kitchen, because I always say he's really good at forming those cookies. So you can actually just form those into balls and put them right on to this baking sheet. And you can leave the bowl here and just grab some of this with your hands and just kind of form it into a ball. And so you can do this with your kids. I always say my husband is like a picky 2-year-old, so he's my child for now. And so, you know, you can bring them into the kitchen and teach them about what makes food healthy. Talk to them about, you know, how to cook and how to do things. And when you get kids involved, that really helps them to feel more comfortable in the kitchen, and it teaches them lessons that they can carry on through their whole entire life. And so another thing that I love to do is to really pour into youth. And so I oftentimes have some teenagers come over, some teen girls, and I'll teach them how to cook in the kitchen. But I also teach them about their worth and their value in Christ, because that is the most important thing. And so oftentimes we think of health and we think of, you know, treating our bodies right so that they look good, so they feel good. But most importantly is knowing our identity in the Lord. And so I love to teach women their true beauty in Christ, and especially young girls. So if you have daughters or if you have any kind of connection to youth girls, I would encourage you to, you know, ask the Lord, how can I pour into them and teach them their value in Christ, or even young men, because it's so important. So thank you so much. You're doing a great job, and you can go ahead and, oh, you took one with you. You know he likes those if he takes one. So then you'll just continue on until you finish all the cookies. And like I said, you can keep these in your fridge or in your freezer, and they're a great snack to have on hand. You could even have them for breakfast. Who doesn't love cookie dough for breakfast? So I hope that you guys enjoyed watching me make this recipe with my husband. He's always great to have in the kitchen, and I hope that this recipe refreshes your body and soul. I'll see you next time.